What's going on, everybody? I am here to talk to you about what I think is the biggest miss of the 2025 Sea-Doo launch with the Fish Pro Apex. So in the last video, I went over how very few people are going to be able to afford this to begin with. But the people who can afford it have one very important thought on the Apex. And it's been said a few times, and it's been done a few times. But that is the trolling motor for the Sea-Doo Fish Pro Apex. Now, the reason why this is so important is if you are a fishing enthusiast or you fish on a regular basis, mostly in ponds or in all types of weather, especially when it comes to a windshield on the Fish Pro Apex, there is one very important thing, is that the wind carries you very far and very fast depending on where you are. Let's not even get into the tide situation when you're in a point of time where the tide will take you in and out, where a rip current will take you far away from where you want to be. And again, if you're in tight areas, especially in ponds, this is where this becomes super important. There is no trolling motor on this machine. There needs to be a trolling motor, especially since this seat comes up and swivels back. The entire purpose of this is so that you can have a swivel seat. Now, feasibility at this moment, you wouldn't be able to put a fishing swivel in the front of the ski. You can only really put it where they have it, which is a brilliant move. So they came out with it with this swivel seat with the trophy a few years ago. This is no new technology. And this is the largest miss that I can think of with this. What do you normally do on a bass boat with a swivel seat, especially when you're from the control standpoint of the boat? You can't just drift around with a jet ski or a boat while you're fishing. You have to be able to control it. Now, either A, you would have to be able to control the ski from where it's at when you're on this swivel seat, or B, you need a trolling motor to do this. First of all, the Sea-Doo Switch Fish, the new one, has a trolling motor right on the front. So Sea-Doo obviously knows that when it comes to fishing, a trolling motor is a necessity in order to fish appropriately. If you're looking for that laser sharp area to where to be without startling the fish, especially by turning on and off a motor, this is where you start, an electric trolling motor. Either you would have trolling mode, which would take the batteries and you can propel the ski through the actual impeller with electric mode, or you would do this using a trolling motor. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of channels. I'm going to shout them out. So this is Mike Stinger. He's got a trolling motor on the back of a Fish Pro already. And you can see where it's retrofitted. It's on the rear of the ski. He's got the whole build process here, which I'll link below. And also, on top of that, he's got the ability to show what it does. This is all remote controlled too, by the way. So this is a smart idea to begin with. So you can remote control this from your seat, or you can do it with a foot mount, which is what I would actually recommend almost on the larger Apex, which has a larger rear deck. So not only does Mike Stinger have it, but also Joe McAdams has built a front mount trolling motor, as you can see here. And that build is discussed in this video as well, which I'll also link below in the description. So again, this is all possible. There's nothing that's not possible with this when it comes to Sea-Doo. This is all mechanically and manually made by these individuals that aren't in the manufacturing portion of Sea-Doo. These are just regular people with regular skis doing regular things. And I think this is a necessity when it comes to a top-of-the-line $30,000 ski. And again, in my area where I'm at, the freight fee for this is near $3,000. And on top of that, when it comes to taxes and preparation from the dealership, this is going to be roughly $30,000 out the door. You might be able to get it for like $27,800 or something along those lines. But that's the same price as a bass boat. And I'll show you an example of what that can be. So in the last video, I kind of discussed a little bit about how these bass boats can have an entry-level fee of actually cheaper. This is a full-on bass boat. It's only a 50 horse, but it's $16,000. It comes fully equipped. You have a bow mount trolling motor. You have a full helm that you can actually drive the boat in. You don't have to use like a tiller handle. It's a full bass boat. And then for the same price, you can roughly get, you know, there's some out there that are a little more expensive, but you can get almost 100 horsepowers with the same price as the Sea-Doo Fish Pro Apex. So those are my 2 cents when it comes to what these in fishing from a jet ski requires. This is a requirement, and at this price it is unacceptable not to put something like this Garmin trolling motor that they already discussed is on the Sea-Doo Switch Fish on the Sea-Doo Fish Pro Apex. And again, I love jet ski fishing. I've been doing it for a number of years, and I'll attach some pictures in this video as well and show you that I do this pretty often. In fact, I do this with a Sea-Doo Spark. In fact, here's some examples of me fishing in the water. But this is actually on my Sea-Doo Spark tricks. Look at that. I've actually put a system on the back, as you can see in my previous videos, like here and here and here. So again, this is something that can be done on a regular basis from Sea-Doo. If I, Joe Schmo, can build this system, it should be no problem to put a bow mount, if not a trolling motor that is designed for the Apex on the back. So again, we fish all the time, whether it's out in the ocean or in a pond or the bay. It happens pretty frequently. And if we can build these type of things on Sea-Doo Sparks, then why can't they build something that we actually want? That's the one thing I was missing off of the Sea-Doo Spark tricks. I wasn't about to go put a trolling motor on this because realistically, my main goal was just to get out there and have fun. And you can see, I was still going around doing wavies or wheelies with the Sea-Doo Spark tricks with a whole fishing rig on the back. And yeah, one of my videos actually fell off, as you can see with this on there. And, you know, it was just me messing around and having fun. And what is this all about? It's just having fun and the versatility of that fun. And one of those things was really being able to get on the water and do everything you want off of something. And to have a PWC that is a lot of fun and that you can fish off of is a good idea. So in fact, Greg Gaddis here, if you go to Sea-Doo, the 2025 Sea-Doo lineup from the Watercraft Journal, Greg Gaddis actually talks about this too, about you need a trolling motor. And this is at the 1623 mark. So that is my recommendation for Sea-Doo in the upcoming future. This is a dead product to 90% of us, or 99% of us. 90% of us will be priced out of the market with this. The 5% of us want to see more out of what these are capable of, especially when regular people build this already. Why on earth can't we get that right away? And if Sea-Doo is slow rolling it, being like, hey, we'll release it in the future, that's kind of messed up on their part. They really should be putting stuff out there right away. The Sea-Doo Fish Pro Apex was a letdown, so I just want to give more of my 2 cents on this. And I am no stranger PWC fishing and fishing in general. Had boats for 20 years. And then on top of that, I've been PWC fishing for about a decade now. So again, I may not be the most professional fisherman. I know my way around how to catch fish, and I know my way around how to catch them on a PWC. So the one thing I want Sea-Doo to do out of this video, or everybody to discuss, is what is your experience with fishing? Do you like PWC fishing? Would you rather go out on a boat and fish? Or would you like to see Sea-Doo actually bring out the full potential of what fishing could be on PWCs? What's not acceptable is the price point with transport and preparation not included. So we're talking $30,000 when you can get an entry-level fishing boat for much cheaper. The only thing I can say about PWC fishing is, yes, you get to the areas you want faster. And yes, it takes up less room in the yard, and it's easier to store in the winter. For us, we have pretty harsh winters. I'm in New England, so our winters become really, really harsh, and they're really long sometimes. So I can see the appeal of having something like PWC fishing, but it is a novelty that most people won't partake in. Most people will just get those bass boats. And when you have prices like this, and prices for, let's say, boats nowadays that are 10, 15 years old, you can get for like $5 grand. Again, there's no real purpose in gouging the market like this. I understand R&D and development and pricing is required, but this is too much. Same thing with the Sea-Doo Switch Fish. The Switch Fish should not be $45,000 starting. Let's say with transport fees and taxes and other setup fees, we're looking at $50,000+ for the Sea-Doo switch fish, and they don't even have it in the compact. So again, those are my 2 cents. These are my gripes with Sea-Doo lately. What they did right, and I don't want to say everything was negative here, what they did right is they released the trolling motor for the Sea-Doo switch. And the biggest thing that I couldn't find yet, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you go to products and you go to trolling motor and you hit the enter button, nothing comes up under the trolling motor. So I don't know if that's just me, but as far as I know, you cannot purchase the trolling motor for the Sea-Doo switch. And again, it would be really nice since I have a Switch Sport Compact. What I have to say about this is, lo and behold, we do know what is going on with Sea-Doo. We don't understand why they didn't actually make things that we asked for. And playing devil's advocate for the fishermen out there, especially Australia, and especially the ones in the United States that like to use PWC fishing like myself, the one thing I don't understand, number one, is the price of this machine. The second thing is, if this were the price of this machine, it should have had some sort of trolling motor on, kind of like what you see here. This is what I expect the most. I expected the swivel seat up top to have a trolling motor so that you can actually find your way around and use this to the maximum capability of what fishing is there for. So, don't want to have a rant too long on this, but I wanted to give more information about my thoughts on the 2025 fishing release and where my gripes are with it. So hopefully, Sea-Doo, you're listening to this, you take some pointers from somebody who actually loves your product, number one, and number two, is a fisherman. So let's see what the fishermen have to see in the comments. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.